My name is Jeremiah Collins, and I am 72 years old. I live in a quiet neighborhood just outside Atlanta, where the wind carries the smell of pine and old stories. My house creaks when the rain falls, and every sound reminds me that I've lived long enough to see life's sweetness turn bitter. I wasn't always this quiet man sipping coffee on a worn-out porch. Once I was a man full of dreams, a builder, a worker, a friend. But time has a way of showing you the true faces of people. Some smiles hide daggers. Some handshakes hide betrayal. Nathan Cole used to be my brother in every way except blood. We grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, two poor kids in the 1950s with nothing but ambition in our hearts. We used to sit on the curb, watching shiny cars roll by, and Nathan would say, "One day, Jerry, we'll fix cars like that. Maybe even own a place of our own." And we did. We worked at the same factory, saving every penny, every bonus, every overtime dollar. When I got married to Marlene, Nathan was my best man. We opened our small shop in 1978, Collins and Cole Auto Repair. It was a simple brick building with a metal roof that leaked in summer storms. But to us it was a kingdom. I fixed the engines, Nathan handled the books. We were partners, brothers. We worked through hard times. There were nights when we slept in the shop, tools in hand, eating cold sandwiches by the light of an old lantern. We fixed cars for free when the customers were struggling. We built a reputation. Honest work, fair price. Folks loved us. By the time I turned 50, business was booming. We had 5 mechanics, contracts with local companies, and dreams of expanding to another city. Life was good, but good things make some men greedy. When Marlene got sick, I stepped away from the business for a while. I spent long nights in the hospital listening to her soft breathing, praying she'd recover. Nathan offered to handle things while I was gone. I didn't even hesitate. I trusted him with everything I had. After Marlene passed, I returned to the shop, hoping work would drown the pain. Instead, I found strangers behind the counter, and my name missing from the sign. The new board read, Cole Auto Solutions. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Maybe he was rebranding for taxes or marketing. But when I asked him, he looked at me with a smirk I'd never seen before. "It's just business, Jerry," he said. "You signed over your share when you were gone." My stomach turned cold. I hadn't signed anything except some insurance documents while Marlene was in the hospital. Later, I learned he had forged my signature on the ownership transfer. I spent months fighting in court, but I didn't have the money for lawyers. He did. I lost my business, my savings, my second home, everything. The day the judge handed down the ruling, I walked out of the courthouse into the rain. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I just stood there letting the water wash over me, thinking of every drop as a promise that one day I'd make it right. I went back to my empty garage, sat on the floor, and stared at my calloused hands. Those hands had built everything. They had earned everything. And they would take it back. The next few years I lived quiet. I started fixing cars from my own garage. Small jobs, oil changes, brake pads, tune-ups. I called it Collins Precision Works. Word spread fast. People still remembered the old days. They remembered me. One afternoon, an old customer came by, whispering that Nathan's shop wasn't doing well. He was expanding too fast, cutting corners, using cheap parts. "He's not the same man anymore," she said. "He's changed." I smiled softly. "He always was that man," I said. "We just didn't see it." Over the next 2 years, I built my network. A young mechanic named Marcus started helping me after work. He told me stories about how Nathan yelled at his workers, underpaid them, and cheated customers. I told Marcus to stay quiet, to keep listening, to gather everything. Slowly, piece by piece, I collected evidence. Fake invoices, cheap imported parts, even records of cars that failed state inspection after leaving his shop. But revenge, real revenge, isn't about striking fast. It's about making a man's own choices become the knife that cuts him. I started buying parts from the same suppliers Nathan used. Only difference? I paid fair and checked every shipment. Nathan didn't. He always chased the cheaper deal. I found one of his suppliers, a shady guy who was tired of Nathan's arrogance. I offered him a deal, sell Nathan a batch of premium oil at half price. In truth, that oil corroded engines after a few months. Legal but disastrous. Nathan took it. He couldn't resist the profit margin. Within months, his customers began returning, furious with engines ruined. His reputation began to crumble, slowly, sweetly. I didn't stop there. I printed flyers under a fake company name, City Engine Safety Inspection, and dropped them at random. The flyers advised people to beware of fake auto parts circulating through Cole Auto Solutions. Rumors spread faster than I expected. Within weeks, local radio hosts were talking about dishonest mechanics, ruining engines for profit. Then came the sweetest part, the final sugar on the revenge. I compiled a folder, invoices, supplier records, pictures of damaged engines, complaints, and mailed it anonymously to the State Automotive Board. I didn't even sign it. Justice doesn't need a signature. It just needs a push. 2 months later, inspectors showed up at Nathan's shop. They found counterfeit parts, expired certifications, and unpaid taxes. His business license was suspended. He tried to reopen under another name, but the news had spread everywhere. Customers stopped coming. The mighty Cole Auto Solutions collapsed, like a tower built on sand. One evening, I heard a knock at my door. It was Nathan. He looked 10 years older. The gold watch was gone, his clothes wrinkled, his eyes hollow. He stood there in silence for a moment, then said softly, "You did this, didn't you?" I didn't answer. I just opened the door wider and said, "Dinner's on the table." He hesitated but stepped inside. I served him chicken stew, collard greens, and my wife's peach pie, the one she used to bake every Sunday. He ate quietly, maybe remembering the old days. When he finished, I looked at him and said, "You know, Nathan, I could have forgiven you, but you didn't just take my business. You took my name. My wife died thinking we were still partners. You stole that truth from her. You don't steal from a man's soul and walk away clean." He put his fork down, eyes watering. "I'm sorry," he whispered. I nodded. "I know," I said. "That's why I let you eat in peace." He left that night with his head low, and I never saw him again. Rumor has it he moved to Texas, working odd jobs, trying to rebuild. But you can't rebuild what's been eaten by guilt. Now, every morning I sit on my porch, watch the sunrise, and think about how life gives you two kinds of justice. The one the world gives you, and the one you give yourself. People ask me if I'm proud of what I did. I tell them no. I'm just satisfied. Because revenge, when done right, isn't fire and fury. It's a slow burn, like sugar melting in a pan. It takes patience, care, and timing. And when it's done, it tastes just right. Sometimes late at night, I walk to my garage, Touch the old sign that still hangs there, Collins and Cole. It's rusted, half broken, but I keep it. Not as a reminder of betrayal, but as proof that even broken things can stand tall when truth holds them up. And as I switch off the light, I whisper to the shadows, "You reap what you sugar, old friend."